Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Students, in this class we are looking at reading. We're going to be reading about a special drink in the Americas. This is coming from some of our newer exams that we have been developing. Students, this is a subscribers chat class. It means you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel to join the chat. We encourage this because we have lots of great material for you to improve your English, your communication, and your IELTS scores. So we want you to benefit from all of our channel and our materials. Welcome Fuang Nadi, Dylan, Romelia. Nice to have our members with us. Helen, Ridham, Black Panther, good to have our subscribers. Carolina, nice to have our chat moderator, as well as Chen. Students, if you have questions, you can ask me. Of course, you can also ask Carolina and Chen in the chat. Of course, this material is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. Join the premium IELTS package. It's a very good investment of a little bit of money. For general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. Both of those websites have lots of reading materials for your reading exams, tips and strategies, videos for the reading, and as well as the other parts of the test. This is the academic aehelp.com. Click that big red button that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment. It's lifetime access. For general, it's gieltshelp.com. Again, it's that red button there. We did release a video on reading last week on our YouTube channel. So when you click the Join Now button, you can use the discount code READ9 for a 10% discount. It costs different amounts in different countries. In many countries, it's cheaper than here in Canada. Depends on where you are. It's a one-time payment, again, for lifetime access, and you're good to go. Students, we have apps for you. Just go to the App Store, download the app, Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. The app will link to the web account, Instagram, IELTS_AE Help, and G IELTS Help. That's for academic and general IELTS respectively. Check that out. If you have questions that do not get answered in the class, worry not. I'm happy to answer them. Send me an email. Adrian at aehelp.com or admin at aehelp.com. All right, Lijon Shorts, you're making me blush. Love you too. Nasser, hello to you back. All right, Silviana, hello, hello. Students, you will have a chance to read in this class as well, and we'll go through some questions and answers and strategies. If you want to get all of our reading exams and other materials for practice exams, go to Amazon, look for our books, AE Helps Academic IELTS, G Helps General IELTS. And just a reminder, everybody, that tomorrow, that's the 16th, we will have a special guest speaker with me here in the live session, a former IELTS examiner. He was an examiner and a marker for the speaking and the writing section for 10 years for the IELTS. So you can ask him questions about the marking and about writing and speaking and about IELTS, and he will give you the inside scoop. All right. So again, we did release an HD reading video with tips and strategies. Check that out for sure. Here it is in the chat. It's a great video to get you in the right direction for the reading section. Reading strategies, students, the very first reading strategy, the first tip that I'm going to give you is read the title and think about it, okay? I think there are still many IELTS candidates that just skip the title, think it's not important. Bad idea. The title summarizes the entire passage. So read the title and think about it for a moment before you look at the questions and start reading. Okay. It's important. So let's do that. Let's do it together. Here is our reading passage. All right, let's take a look. A piece of Peruvian culture. Awesome. So it's a piece of Peruvian culture. Okay, Peru, it's a country in the Americas. It's a part of its culture. So something about the Peruvian culture. When you think of the Peruvian culture, what comes to mind? By the way. So here's a good question, right? Let's test your knowledge of world history. Students, for IELTS, it is a really good idea to have global perspectives, okay? So what do you think of when you think of Peruvian culture? Okay, now here's a good tip before your IELTS exam. Read about global history and culture, okay? A lot of countries in the world focus a lot on their own culture and about perspectives in their own culture or in their own region of the world. But we're in a state of globalization, and in doing so, it's a good idea to take a moment to read about global culture, right? So, you know, for Canadians that are here, it's important to read about cultures in Asia, in India, in China, different regions of India, right? Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, you know, Ladakh region. There's a lot of different cultures within India. India has a deep, rich history. China, same idea. Russia, Africa, Europe, different countries. There are lots of history, right? So it's a good idea to have a kind of a general understanding of world history and world culture. Life is just more colorful and beautiful that way. So definitely invest a bit of time into that. So Peruvian culture, what comes to mind? Domenico says Machu Picchu. Yeah, Machu Picchu is very, very famous. It's an ancient city. Absolutely. Bismarck says clothing and traditional foods. Bismarck, what is traditional food of Peru? Okay. Divya says arts, traditions, festivals. Absolutely. Okay. And what do you know about Peruvian culture? Who are the ancestors or the inheritors of Peruvian culture? What civilizations lived there? Yanni says Lima, of course, is an important place. Frost says hamsters and llamas. Okay, Aletsky says something like Aztecs and ancient settlements. Natty says the Incas. Yes. Aztecs, Incas. Yes, absolutely. Ancient cultures and civilizations. Okay. Good. So those should come to mind, right? There's pyramids in Peru. They're not like the Egyptian ones. They're different ones, right? Durendra says Western culture. I'm sure there's a lot of influence of Western culture now, right? The Nazca lines, Carolina. Yeah, very interesting. Very good. Absolutely. Also an interesting part. So Peru, very culturally a very rich place. They also have a beautiful landscape, mountains, right? So, okay. Alexi, this is not from the curriculum book. We haven't published this yet. This is kind of first look at these. Okay, we're still working on publishing these readings. So, okay. So good. Now, when you have this type of reading passage, you notice that you've got the title, okay? And you also notice that there's subheadings, okay? When you have subheadings like this, it is a really good idea to pay attention to that, okay? So here in the subheadings, we have the word chica, okay? I hope I'm pronouncing that right, chica. And then we've got history of chica, types of chica. Okay, so we might want to just read the first sentence so we know what this is, right? And then we see chicha is a drink made from corn that is part of Peruvian culture. So of course the author here very quickly and cleverly tells us exactly what chicha is in the very first sentence. It's good writing. Okay. So Carolina says chicha. It's both cha. It's not chica, it's chicha. Thank you, Carolina. Carolina is from Colombia, so she knows how to pronounce it. See? We're global. Thank you, Carolina. So chicha. What is it? So chicha is a drink made from corn that is part of Peruvian culture. Now, of course, students, in the real IELTS exam, if you see a word that you cannot pronounce in the reading, don't worry about the pronunciation. Just read it, right? Okay. So here we have history of chicha, types of chicha, production, part of Peruvian culture, where and how to drink it. Okay, so keep those all in mind. Imagine that you're the person drinking chicha. Okay, am I pronouncing it right now, Carolina? Chicha? Yes? Hopefully. Cha-cha, chicha. Okay. All right. And then we can look at the questions. Okay, so after we read the title and we thought about it, okay, chicha, it's a Peruvian drink. It's made of corn. It's obviously has importance for traditions, maybe for celebrations. It maybe is nutritious and healthy. People have fun with it. It might taste delicious. There's different kinds. So all of those ideas are going through my head as I look at the questions. Okay. So it says complete each sentence with the correct ending A to M. Whew, A to M, that's a lot. What is that, like 15 or something choices? So we've got a lot of choices here. I don't worry about the choices. I don't look at them in the computer-based exam. That's probably like a drag and drop. Why don't I look at the choices? So why am I not concerned about the choices before reading the passage? Okay. Black Panther says there's 13 of them. Dylan says the choices can confuse us. Chansu says it can be confusing. Yeah. Notice how we only have 6 sentences to complete. So in this question, there's 6 pieces to complete. But below, we have 13 choices. So we have more than double the choices. That means at least half of these choices are wrong. Why would I read 7 incorrect answers that maybe are not even in the passage? So it's wasting time and it's confusing. So it's a double bad, okay? So definitely don't read the choices. Don't read information in questions that can confuse you and that's not in the passage. The brain does not organize information in order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a computer in this way. It's not linear. So if you read all of this information before the passage, your brain will be confused. It'll be like, did I read that before or after? Was that in the questions? Where did I see that? And then you're making the wrong choices, okay? So don't read that. What you can do is just read the questions, okay? And this is reading, everybody, so read with me, all right? So here it says, though soft drinks and beer are popular in Peru, and then the contrast, right? Because it's like though, although. So this is going to be a contrast. So it's like although pop and beer are much liked in Peru, and then whatever comes here, the opposition, right? While it is believed that chicha has been around for thousands of years, okay, it's another opposition. So while we believe it has been around for thousands of years, they only made 5 different kinds recently. I don't know. We don't know yet, but it's an opposition. Okay, now here We have before a person was sacrificed. Ooh. They drank a bunch of chicha to feel good. Maybe. That would be my guess. Here it's a time, right? Before and after. Okay, so opposition, before and after. Pay really close attention to the conjunctions that are used in these completing statements or completing sentences. It's very important. Here we have another opposition, right? Although there are two main types of chicha. One tastes way better than the other. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. Similar to mulled cider, chicha morada contains cloves and cinnamon and another ingredient, I'm sure, right? Cloves, cinnamon, and then one more opposition. While chicha de jora is made from less flavorful yellow corn, chicha de something is probably made of some other corn. That would be my guess. Okay. All right. So a little bit of thinking, but not too much. And I'm not taking a lot of time here. In the real IELTS, you only have 20 minutes. So you're reading this quite fast and just getting an idea of what's going on. And again, you don't read the choices because there's no reason to do that. Okay. Now, here we have a summary completion, and we have production and we have culture. So some candidates might be tempted here to go, I'm going to jump here and read production because that one says production. And then the other one says culture. Is that a good idea? So is it a good idea to not even read the passage? So I'm not going to read the passage. And I'm just going to read this, and I realize, it's production, so it's coming from the paragraph production. So I'll start skimming and scanning for answers. Culture. That's got to be coming from culture. So I'm going to skim and scan answers and fill that in. Is that a good strategy? No. Yeah, absolutely not. Why? Why not? Why would that be a bad idea to just look at these and go, look, there's the question. I'm going to search for the answers. What do you think? Chaitali says, yes, maybe we can complete it early. Yanni says, nah. Alexi says, because it's paraphrased. The pod says, yes. It's not, though. This is why I told all of you should watch that video. So everybody who thinks that skimming and scanning is a good idea, please watch this video. It's the one that we released on YouTube recently that explains why this is not a good idea. Okay, Helen, smart. Helen says, hey, everybody, there could be missing information. Just because this says production and this says culture doesn't mean that the answers come from those paragraphs. It's quite possible that you have answers which are found in the conclusion. Why? Because where and how to drink it is also culture, right? And maybe there's an answer that comes from the introduction or the history, where it talks about the history of the production, right? So just because this production matches with this word production, doesn't mean that the answers come from just that paragraph. So be really careful. Does that make sense, everybody? And it's not IELTS trying to trick you. It's IELTS preparing you for university and the real world, where you don't even have the reading in front of you. You just have the questions. You did the reading at home when you were studying, right? So just because this word production matches with that paragraph heading production, the IELTS didn't say, oh, by the way, that's the same paragraph. It just means production and culture. Do you get it now? Why that's really dangerous to make that assumption that that's where the information is coming from? Okay. Doesn't say that. That doesn't say those will match. Those paragraphs match. Exactly. Carolina, I'm not sure why your timeout option is not working. I think it's YouTube, so there's nothing I can do on my part. But I'll check your permissions, Carolina, after the class. But if it worked before, it should work now. So not sure why that's happening. I think YouTube is probably having a bit of a hiccup. Okay. All right. But not to worry, Caroline. I see why you're making that complaint. So students, English only in the chat. Okay. English only. And Carolina, it looks like my timeout option is not working either. So it's a YouTube thing. Okay. Yeah, I can see it on the bottom, Chen. It says YouTube's having an error, which is fine. But students, try to be respectful of each other. Use English, right? Okay. All right. So again, going back here, skimming scanning doesn't work because there's no guarantee that that's where that information is. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. And then we've got one more here, the yes, no, not given. That we don't look at. The paragraph completion, that's good. We can look at that. We can read that. So read with me. Okay. Production. Though it has been traditionally produced for generations in modern times, this is something. For example, traditionally, women would chew the corn and spit it into a bucket. This process would help stimulate something because of the chemicals present in the women's saliva. Culture. Even today, chicha has a place in the culture of Peru. Outside of Peru, the drink is consumed by those in South as well as something America. Chicha has also given rise to forms of music, dance, architecture, and film, an entire counterculture. In this sense, chicha is a drink for the common people, not for the something. Okay. So good. Yes, no, not given. Don't read that before the passage. It's absolutely not helpful. You can't know the not givens and the no's, right? Or the false answers, in this case, no's. So good. Okay, so then we go back and we read the passage. Students, read the passage with me. We're going to read the passage. If you want to get those high band scores like 7, 8, and 9, especially 8 and 9, you need to read the passage. So read with me, everybody. A piece of Peruvian culture. Chicha, what is it? Chicha is a drink made from corn that is part of Peruvian culture. The history of chicha stretches back at least 500 years and possibly further into the past. Made from corn, a plentiful crop in the region, chicha is available in both fermented, alcoholic, and non-fermented, non-alcoholic forms. Sales of chicha in Peru rival those of the most popular soft drinks and beers. Needless to say, even after hundreds of years, chicha is incredibly popular in the region. History of chicha. Some historians think chicha has been prepared and consumed in communities in the Andes Mountains for thousands of years. However, direct evidence of this fact is difficult to find. However, it is known that the Incans produced chicha in the 1500s. For example, women were taught the techniques to brew the beverage in what were called aclawasi, or feminine schools. Corn mills have been discovered at the Incan ruins known as Machu Picchu, and it is clear that the drink was used for ritual and religious purposes. For example, chicha would be given as a sacrifice to the gods and even served to human sacrifices before they were killed. Evidence shows that it was consumed in significant quantities in the Incan culture for these reasons, and to this say, it is common to offer chicha to Pachamama, the Earth Mother, by pouring some out before drinking. That would be this day. Types of chicha. There are two main types of chicha. Though the exact formulation and production of chicha is likely to vary from town to town, the two main types are chicha morada and chicha de jora. Chicha morada is a non-fermented and non-alcoholic drink made from purple corn, which gives it its characteristic purple color. It is high in antioxidants, helps to prevent certain cancers, and lowers blood pressure and cholesterol. It has also shown regenerative properties such as the formation of collagen and the creation of connective tissue. It often contains cinnamon and cloves and is thus similar to mulled cider. Chicha de jora is the fermented and therefore alcoholic version of the drink. It is created by a process similar to that of beer. Unlike chicha morada, chicha de jora is made from yellow corn. Though the corn used is quite different from the corn many people are familiar with. It is more fibrous, has much larger kernels, and is much less flavorful. However, this makes it well suited to form the base of such a drink. In addition to corn, the drink often includes either quinoa or, for a sweeter version, strawberries. Production. The traditional production of chicha is today rare, but for most of its period of popularity, chicha has been produced according to particular standards. For instance, the corn is not simply mashed up, rather it is chewed and spit into a bucket. This, as mentioned above, was traditionally a woman's job. The woman's saliva would help to activate the fermentation process through the naturally occurring enzymes in the saliva. Women were also in charge of the rest of the brewing process, from germinating the corn to extracting the malt sugars, boiling the wort, and then fermenting it. A part of Peruvian culture, chicha to this day holds a special place in Peruvian culture. It is widely considered the drink of Peru and continues to be enjoyed by generations of Peruvians as well as other South and Central Americans. The cultural impact of chicha has grown even beyond the beverage. However, chicha has come to describe forms of dancing, painting, architecture, film, and other aesthetic areas. Chicha music, for example, became popular in the second half of the 20th century. Chicha's origins are as a drink of the people, something discounted by the elite, and the aesthetic schools associated with it share this counter-elite ethos. Where and how to drink it? Chicha, in its many forms, is available almost anywhere in Peru. It is available from street vendors, sidewalk stands, in markets, or even through your car window stopped at a red light. But the most authentic place to enjoy chicha is in what is called a chicheria, the kind of bar or tavern where chicha is served to guests. These establishments often operate outside the legal framework, are often run by families, and emphasize the drinking of chicha and the socialization it helps create. Chicherias are traditionally marked by a broomstick atop a dark doorway, adorned by flowers, ribbons, baskets, or even plastic bags. Once inside, 25 pesos, about 30 cents US, will buy half a liter of traditional beverage. Notably, the drink is often consumed with alarming pace. The locals can finish a glass in mere moments, asking for seconds quickly thereafter. If you are ever in Peru and want to connect with the locals and the culture, a glass of chicha is a must. From ancient times to the Incan period to today, chicha has helped to define the culture of a people and region. All right, Eunice is asking, how do I get a Band 8? Eunice, how do you get a Band 8? Good question. Here's Eunice's question. Okay, how do I get a Band 8? Eunice, I'll tell you how you get a Band 8. You get a Band 8 by reading the passage in 12 minutes or less, understanding 80% or more, and using good strategies and logic to answer the questions accurately in 8 to 10 minutes. You cannot get a Band 8 by skim reading or scanning for answers. Okay, if somebody tells you that you can, it's not true. And if you've done it, okay, if you're like, oh, but I did it, I got a Band 8 skim reading, that was either A, lucky, or B, you're amazing at reading and you probably could have gotten even a Band 9 if you just used correct reading strategy. Okay? All right, so that's how you do it. Okay? So here we go, everybody. Let's do this. So we're going to answer these questions, but before we answer the questions, I'm going to get some volunteers for us. Okay. Chaitali, you do not have to read so slowly in the IELTS. You can read a little bit faster. You can read it in 7 or 8 minutes. Just make sure that you understand and you visualize what you are reading. Okay. All right. Okay, students. So we're going to take volunteers to do a bit of reading and answer some of these questions for us. Okay. To volunteer for reading, this is what you have to do. You have to go to our website, aehelp.com. Carolina has just put the instructions into the chat, same with Chen. So you go to aehelp.com, you go to your My Student account. Okay. Now, if you haven't joined the premium version of our course, you can do that by clicking the big red button after the video or this big red button here. Again, it's just a one-time payment, lifetime access. We're IDP affiliate, British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. We are world leaders in IELTS exam preparation. We use psychology to maximize learning. So you go there and then you're in your My Student account. In your My Student account, click on a Student Partner Speaking. That's one of the many wonderful functions of the account. You've got computer-based practice exams, interactive course, and you've got this Student Partner Speaking where you can talk to other IELTS students. And then you're in here in the chat interface, and then you've got lots of people in here with you. You've got Daria, Alexi, Dylan, Chayani, Domenico, Carolina's in here. It's awesome. And then you can volunteer. You volunteer by basically sending me a message with this blue envelope saying, I want to try, or I would like to read. You're going to see my name in here as Master, okay? That will be my handle. So make sure you message me. If you message somebody else, that's okay. Try the system. Make sure you can talk to other students. You can hear them. You can see, you can, well, don't use your video, just your audio. Okay. All right, Alexi, let's see if you're there, and then we'll show everybody how this works. Are you there? I'm shouting at you with all those capitals. Sorry about that. Still got my caps lock on. Okay.
Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Alexi. How are you?
I'm awesome. What about you?
I am also doing very well. Thank you for asking. All right. Alexi, how do you find reading in English?
Well, for me, it is quite complicated because I s- I started to learn it only yesterday.
Fair enough.
However, yeah, I presume I will get about 6 to 6.5 on my test.
We'll see, Alexi. We'll see. You can learn quickly, right? As long as you're not just studying hard, but studying smart, you can improve quickly. How much time do you read each day right now in English?
Um, uh, I presume from 1 to 2 hours. Because I have all my day. I'm not busy at all, so I have enough time to study.
Good, good, good. So you're spending 1 to 2 hours a day reading each day. That's great. Okay, here's my next question. And by the way, everybody listening, there's logic here. So I'm not just asking any old question here from Alexi. There's reasons for it, and I will explain why. Alexi, when you read 1 to 2 hours a day, what kind of materials do you read?
Um, I prefer to read some news related to technology because I'm interested in that sphere. But I also practice my uh, practice reading in IELTS topics.
Okay, and one more question. How much time do you spend reading aloud? So, not just silently reading inside your head, but actually using your voice and reading like I just read this passage. How much of that do you do?
Well, I presume it's like about 30 minutes because uh, I quickly become tired of that.
Okay. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to read aloud. I agree with you. Okay, great. So you're definitely taking some good steps. Reading aloud for 30 minutes and reading for 1 to 2 hours each day is definitely a good way to make quick improvements in not only your reading, but also vocabulary, pronunciation, fluency, grammar. So it helps with all of those different aspects of language. So those are all great. It's good that you're reading about topics that interest you, like technology, for instance. Absolutely. It's good that you're reading IELTS specific topics. That's also a good idea. So you have an idea of how it's structured and the length. Here are a couple of tips to make your practice even more effective if you're not doing these yet. Okay. Tip number one for you is read a book, read a novel. So I'm not sure what kind of novels you're into, like biography or fantasy novels, Harry Potter, whatever it may be. So read a novel. It's a very effective way to improve language when you're reading a big story. So not just an idea or a concept that can be summarized in a couple pages, but a story with character development where you have setting, climax, conclusion, and it's 150, 200, 300 page book, right? So if you're not doing that, I highly recommend picking up a novel that you think would be interesting for you. Okay, so read a novel that's interesting and spend 20, 30 minutes on that as well. Okay.
Okay.
It will. Do you know why that's really helpful for improving your reading? There's logic here. Can you guess why that might be?
Because I presume it contains a lot of useful words and well-structured sentences. Well, when you can practice your ability to generate sentences as well.
Yes, I mean that's true. However, you could also get that from shorter passages from the IELTS or from magazine articles or newspaper articles on your phone as well. No, there's another reason. There's an advantage to longer novels that you can't get from shorter text. I wonder if anybody knows what that is. I'm just looking at the chat and I don't see it. With longer novels, you get a lot more descriptive language. Okay. So when they're describing places, characters, emotions, you get the use of a lot of descriptive language that you do not get in shorter passages as much, okay? The other huge benefit of that is you develop your visualization. So when you're reading a novel, eventually your brain starts to click and you start to see the information that you're reading or the ideas that you're reading, and it helps your brain to make that connection between the English language and visualizing or seeing that English language. And a lot of people struggle on the IELTS because they're not able to visualize or see the information, and that's because they haven't developed that skill enough. And ironically, it's very difficult to develop that with a short passage. You develop it with long novels. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But for me, it's a really struggling thing to read even in my native language because I'm not adapted.
You're not alone, Alexi, in that. And one of the big reasons why you're not alone is because we've in the last 10 years we have turned people, especially youth, into goldfish, and I tried to say that very politely. Goldfish memory is an expression where people have very short-term memory, so they remember ideas for just 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And notice how all of these like YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, these quick text messages, it's all focusing on these very short bits of information, right? And that's not very effective for our brains to acquire these kind of global concepts of information processing and retention. And that's exactly why I'm suggesting to read a novel, because in your own language or in English, it's really important, like in past generations, to read these longer stories and novels regularly, not just once or twice in a lifetime or during high school, but regularly, right? So you want to do it as much as possible, okay? So ideally, every person is always reading a novel. So when somebody asks you, what are you reading? You can say, well, I'm reading War and Peace by Tolstoy right now, right? So you can always respond like, but these days when I ask younger people, what are you reading? They kind of look at me like, what? Right? I'm reading my text messages, right? And it's like, no, like a book. What are you reading? And they're like, a book? Like, you mean like a novel? And some youth are, like some youth, kudos, some youth are, but a lot of youth, they just never pick up a book, right? It's not good. So you want to do that, okay? All right, let's get back to the target here. Alexi, that was just kind of, I was using you there to give everybody some general important information there, and I appreciate your patience. Okay, Alexi, here we go. It's your turn. So what I'd like you to do is just read the title and the first paragraph when you see it on the screen.
Okay. A piece of Peruvian culture. Chicha. What is it? Chicha is a drink made from corn that is part of Peruvian culture. The history of chicha stretches back at least 500 years and possibly further into the past. Made from corn, a plentiful crop in the region, chicha is available in both fermented, alcoholic, and non-fermented, non-alcoholic forms. Sales of chicha is in Peru rival those of the most popular soft drinks and beers. Needless to say, even after hundreds of years, chicha is incredibly popular in the region.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as a master reader, ideally what's happening here, Alexi, is you can picture yourself drinking the chicha, right? And maybe you're in a culture that's hundreds of years old, and you're drinking the alcoholic version, so you're having a bit of fun and partying, and then you have maybe a niece or a nephew who's just little and they're drinking the non-alcoholic version, and you visualize that so you can see yourself having fun partying, getting a little tipsy, and your niece and nephew also having lots of fun, but with the non-alcoholic version. And of course, maybe there's a chunk of corn that's sticking out of your drink as well, right? So you connect these visual images, okay? All right, so far so good. So again, ideally we read the whole passage. In this case, we've already done that. So I'm going to jump to the questions here. Now, complete each sentence with the correct ending. So take a look at number 1, Alexi. Read the sentence and then finish the sentence on your own without looking at the choices. So go ahead and read that sentence for me.
One sentence.
Yeah,
or
just
two?
number one. Just
Okay.
read number one.
Those soft drinks and beer are popular in Peru.
Finish it with your own words.
Uh,
And everybody in the chat, you can try this as well. Go for it. How would you finish that sentence based on what you read?
Even though it's quite ancient drink.
Okay, you can't do that in English or in other languages because then you have a double negative. Though and even though are both negative. And generally, especially in writing, you do not see double negatives like that. So you would not see a combination of though with even though, or you would never see however with but. As soon as you see that, that should be a red light that it's most likely not the right answer. So you can't form it like that. So it has to be, though is used as a compare and contrast, right? Like, although snails are slow, they live for a very long time, right? So it has to be some kind of a contrast there. So try it one more time. Those soft drinks and beer are popular in Peru. What's the topic here, Alexi?
Two types of the drink.
It's chicha. Simply, it's chicha, right? So
Yeah.
try to think about that and finish the sentence. Those soft drinks and beer are popular in Peru. Chicha is, look at what Icon is saying in the chat. There's a couple people in the chat trying to help you out here.
Chicha is still the most preferred drink.
Right, okay. And remember, we're partying, we're all drinking chicha, right? So we like beer, we like soft drinks, but hey, when it comes to chicha, nothing beats a good cold chicha on a hot summer day, right? So ideally, when you're going for that band 7, band 8, band 9, Alexi, you're able to at least get a couple of more or less accurate ideas of how to complete this sentence. So here I would write, those soft drinks and beer are popular in Peru. Chicha is liked the most. Let's say something like that, right? Now,
Yeah.
once we have that idea, okay, then we can look for the right answer. If we just start searching for the right answer, especially when there are 13 choices, there's often a very good chance that we'll make the wrong choice, because the people making the IELTS exam, they will often write two choices that are very similar and one that's very catchy for the reader if they don't have their own ideas. Okay, do you see what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So it's very important that you have your own idea first, ideally. Okay. All right, now I'll bring up the choices. Let me know which one you think matches that one.
Chicha is just as popular.
Right, exactly. That one's a very close match, okay? And so a lot of people worry that, oh, okay, but I only have 20 minutes. If I'm doing what you're saying, Adrian, I'm going to run out of time. It's actually quite the opposite. So when you're doing what I'm saying and you're doing it correctly, you're actually going to be much faster. Because if you have an idea of how to finish the sentence, then you're not just randomly searching, right? You're not just like, I'm kind of searching for something that fits, but you're actually purposefully searching. So you're searching for a specific piece. Do you see what I mean, Alexa?
Yeah.
It's just like when you're doing Lego or a puzzle, right? You have an idea of what shape or what color should match with that other piece. You don't just randomly search, right? I'm sure for everybody who's done puzzles and played with Lego, when you're just randomly searching, it can take forever to find the right piece. But when you know what color and what the shape is, then you can find that piece much faster, right, Alexi?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the same with the words. It's the same with the words. Let's try one more. Okay, number 2.
While it's believed that chicha has been around for thousands of years,
Mm-hmm.
there were mentions that chicha. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, finish it. Finish your thought.
I need to think.
In a couple places in the passage, it actually talks about this, not just in one. If you visualized it, you'll catch this. This is why visualization is so important. So while it is believed that chicha has been around for thousands of years...
Oh, it was like not creating, making since 1500.
Yeah, there was something about, like, there's definite proof that it's been around for about 500. We believe it's been around for thousands, but the proof really only goes back about 500 years. That's what I remember too, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So which one of these is most likely the correct answer?
It's the third one. It has only been consumed since the 1500s.
So careful. Look at all of the choices, right? And think logically. Okay. Do you see all the choice? Yeah, you should see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep reading. So this is where I always caution people: don't be too fast to give that answer, because it has only been consumed since the 1500s. The passage didn't really say that, right? So we can't just create our own information.
I get it. This has not been confirmed.
Right. So K is the best answer, right? So the confirmation is from the 1500s. We have confirmation that it's being consumed and made in the 1500s, but it hasn't been confirmed that it was actually. So while we believe it, it hasn't been confirmed, right? There are
no evidence.
Exactly. So be very careful, everybody. You have to use good logic in the IELTS, especially the academic, okay? And see how, Alexi, that was not a question of English, but it was a question of test and thinking strategy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this first one was E, and this one was K, right? So we want to be very careful. So sometimes I always say too in the IELTS, if the answer looks too easy and too quick like that one did with C, you want to be extra cautious. You want to think twice. Is that correct? Like, has it really only been consumed since the 1500s? That didn't say that, right? So we want to be really careful. All right, Alexi, thank you so much for volunteering and having a good read and discussion with me. That was great.
Thank you too.
Okay, keep it up. Keep reading. Remember, read a novel, okay?
Have a nice day. Bye.
Okay, bye, Alexi. All right, novels, everybody. Read novels, all right? Let's take another volunteer. Dylan here underneath says, I want to give it a shot. Dylan, sure. Are you ready? Hopefully we can connect. It's nice and clear as with Lexi. Dylan says, I am. Good. Hi, Dylan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm a little bit stressed. It will be my first time.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. That's okay. Just take a breath. No worries, Dylan. We're all here to learn and have fun and a better understanding of IELTS. So we're all in the same boat. No reason to stress too much. Dylan, why are you taking the IELTS exam?
Well, I want to work in UK. That's why.
Okay, what would you like to do in the UK?
I'm a veterinarian, so I want to work as a veterinarian.
Cool. Here, I'll help you a little bit. Just say vet. You can shorten it. Veterinarian, we often just say vet. Veterinarian is a word that's even difficult to pronounce for native speakers. I don't know why we did that, but anyway, it's a vet. Cool. Do you have animals?
Yes, I have a dog.
Oh, you have a dog. What's the dog's name?
Petro.
Petro. And what kind of a dog is Petro?
I'd say that he is Spitz.
Spitz? What is that?
It means that they characteristically have longer hair and their noses are more pointed.
Okay, I'm learning. All right, and so yeah, cute little dog. All right, let's get into some reading. I love dogs, by the way. Okay, let's get into some reading. We'll go into the second paragraph here. Go ahead and read that for me. So, history of chicha, whenever you're ready.
Okay. History of chicha. Some historians think chicha has been prepared and consumed in communities in the Andes Mountains for thousands of years. However, direct evidence of this fact is difficult to find.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are two howevers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, it is known that the Incans produced chicha in the 1500s. For example, women were taught the techniques to brew the beverage in what were called aquila vasi, or feminine schools. Corn mills have been discovered at the Incan ruins known as Machu Picchu, and it is clear that drink was used for ritual and religious purposes. For example, chicha would be given as a sacrifice to the gods, and even served to human sacrifices before they were killed. Evidence shows that it is consumed in significant quantities in the Incan culture for these reasons. And to this day, it's common to offer chicha to Pachamama, the Earth Mother, by pouring some out before drinking.
All right. Great. Good. That was very good reading. Dylan, as long as you're reading like that, you are fine. So with your reading, your speed, you should be reading the passages, not just searching for answers, okay? So this is for everybody. If you are at the level of Dylan, even if you're a little bit slower, you should be reading the whole passage, okay? Because when you read like that, Dylan, you can read the passage comfortably in 7 minutes. Okay, 8 minutes. That leaves you 12, 13 minutes to answer the questions. That's a lot of time. That's an average of 1 minute per question. That's a lot, okay? As long as you're visualizing and as long as you understood most of the passage, even if you have to go back and search for some answers, you still have time, right? So what happens in a lot of situations is students just panic. So that's why they waste a lot of time and they don't read the passage properly. Okay, help me out with some questions here. So let's jump to number 3. Before a person was sacrificed. Finish that sentence when you see it.
With my own sentences,
Yeah, you
right?
should. Oh, exactly. You should always finish it with your own idea first.
Okay, before a person was sacrificed, she or he was served with a cup of chicha. Maybe.
Okay. I like it, Dylan. I can tell you're not much of a drinker, which is great. but I think you have the right answer. I would have probably answered something like she or he drank a whole bottle of chicha and got super drunk. Because I sure would if they were trying to sacrifice me. So I'd be drinking more than a cup. Served a cup of chicha, right? I'll put my 2 pieces in there. Let's go with 3 bottles of chicha. Okay, fine. Yeah, good. Which one of these would match with that one? Now make sure you look at all of them. Mm-hmm.
Would match.
They may have been served chicha. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, if I look at all the choices there, it says, you know what, this one, they would consume chicha in significant quantities. That would be my answer, but in all seriousness, your answer is better, okay? So they may have been served chicha, yeah. Okay, so we would put A and then move on. All right, so I think everybody gets the idea of how to do these questions, okay? And so now these last 3 questions, 4, 5, and 6, I will let everybody do that in your own time. We're going to jump to the fill in the blanks here, okay, Dylan? So we're jumping into Dylan, and I know that you haven't read this yourself, but you have heard it, so we're just going to get right into it and see what we can do with it, okay? So whenever you're ready, read production, okay? And read all the way through to the end of that first little piece, okay?
Okay. Though it has been traditionally produced for generations, in modern times, this is blank. For example, Traditionally, women would chew the corn and spit it into a bucket. This process would help stimulate blank because of the chemicals present in the women's saliva.
Okay, good. All right, so you kind of look at the paragraph, right? And you get a holistic idea. With these questions, everybody, it's really important that you get the whole idea. You don't just stop halfway or at the blank, because it's hard to figure out when you only have a partial idea, okay? So here, it's just the same as with the previous, where you have to think about it on your own first. And in this case, we don't have word choices, so it has to be a term from the reading. And again, the trick is not to spend or not to waste too much time on one or two questions. So Dylan, can you try to fill in these blanks as best as possible, okay, on your own? Go for it. Try to fill it in. So read it again and just tell us what you think 7 and 8 are as you read it, okay?
Well, it starts with though, so I think that the answer, 7, would oppose with the sentence. So although it has been traditionally produced for generations, in modern times, this is uncommon.
Okay.
Or
unusual, something like
unusual.
that. Yeah, uncommon would be good. Okay. Now, we're not 100% sure that this is the right answer, right? But we're kind of sure that this is probably something that's correct, okay? Now, ideally in IELTS, you have a perfect match, but I'll show you how to get that in a second. So keep going.
For example, traditionally, women would chew the corn and spit it into a bucket. This process would help stimulate fermentation, in my opinion, because of the chemicals present in women's saliva.
Okay, fermentation. And for everybody, right, fermentation is the process of producing alcohol from sugars. Okay, good. So you've got fermentation. How sure are you about fermentation? 50%?
I'm pretty sure.
So you're like 90, 95%? Yeah, say it. If you're pretty
100%.
100%. Ooh, that's dangerous to be 100%. It's dangerous. But sure. Okay. So here in this case, I would not do anything for fermentation. If I were you, Dylan, and I'm close to 100%, I would just leave that as my answer and I'd be happy with it. The only time I would check it is if I'm not sure of the spelling, because I know the spelling appears in the passage, right? So just to make sure, in the paper-based especially, I might look. But I'm not going to search for it, because there's a very good chance that I might even see the word fermentation later in the questions. So I don't need to waste a lot of time looking for this. I just have to remind myself that I need to pay attention to spelling. Here, for the word uncommon, okay, before we get that, we'll turn that green. So here for the word uncommon, I can take a look, right? And I know that it says here, like you said, though it has been traditionally produced for generations. So I can jump back to production and see if it's there. Okay. And it says here, read the first sentence. You'll see it in a second.
Okay, I see it now. The traditional production of chicha is today rare. So it's rare.
Okay, so you know that you're correct, right? Because uncommon equals rare, right? It's a synonym. It's a perfect synonym in this case. Sometimes in IELTS, they'll even give you that mark. So if you write uncommon, there's a chance they will give it to you. But just to be sure, just to be on the safe side, once you catch that, then you can change it. And again, it's just like what I said to Lexi, when you know what you're looking for, the answer will come very quickly, right? So uncommon is rare, rare is the right answer. Okay, that makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. You're doing fantastic. And for your first time, Dylan, you did great. So thumbs up to you. I'm sure you'll get some thumbs up there in the chat from people as well, because you deserve it. You're on the right path. So I'm sure there will be a lot of happy little critters in the UK once you get there and start working as a veterinarian.
Thank you so much. And please excuse me if I made mistakes.
No, you were lovely. So have a great rest of your day, and volunteer again, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
I will.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye.
All right, Dylan definitely deserves a thumbs up. That was really good. She applied really good logic. and test taking strategy. That's exactly what we need to do. Now, students, again, for culture, so for this completion, 9 and 10, you can do that on your own. Okay, we're going to go to the yes, no, not given questions now. Okay. Now, for those outstanding questions, like the last three in this one here, okay, so 4, 5, and 6, and for culture, okay, you can send your answers by email to me. Here's my email address, and I will give you the correct answers to make sure that you're applying these strategies accurately, okay? All right, let's take another volunteer for the yes, no, not given. Okay, we've got those tricky yes, no, not givens, but they're not as bad. So you'll see that yes, no, not given is not as bad as long as you've got the right strategy. Okay, so let's do this. Let's find another volunteer. Again, we're using our website here, everybody, aehelp.com, for the academic IELTS, the student chat interface. Let's take another volunteer here. Ubay Dulayev. Let's see if there's a volunteer there. Are you ready? Okay. If we've got Ubay Dulayev on the line here with us, we can jump into those yes, no, not givens. Chen's also put my email into the chat there for everybody. And Carolina, thank you for prompting everybody to praise Dylan for that hard work. All right. Hello, Baidulayev. I can't hear you. I don't hear any sound from your end, so I'm not sure if we've made a good connection here. Check your microphone and connect with some other students. Make sure your system's set up correctly, and then come back again and volunteer, okay? We'll try to find somebody else here. Let's see if Kanwal is available. Are you ready, Kanwal? Okay. Again, for everybody who's new to this system, I highly recommend testing your setup with some other students. And within that, this system is actually for everybody to interact with everyone else. So it's not just for you to chat with me, but it's primarily set up for you to practice your speaking for the IELTS with other IELTS students on the website. So Kanwal, I'm not sure if Kanwal's here. Harjot, let's see. Harjot says, I've been waiting for 2 weeks. Well, Harjot, here is your chance. Are you ready? And again, don't call me, students. I will call you. Otherwise, it turns into a mess. So Harjot, if you're there, let me know. We'll try to make a connection here. All right.
Can you hear me?
I can, Harjot. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing great. Maybe mute the audio from YouTube if you haven't done it yet. All right, Harjot, I'm doing great. Harjot, where are you?
I'm in India, sir.
I know that. I can kind of tell by your accent, but what part of India? It's like saying I'm from Europe. India's a huge country with how many states does India have again? It's 30 something.
Yeah, I didn't know the exact number. But yeah.
Which state are you from?
I'm from Punjab.
Oh, you're from Punjab. Okay. All right. So Punjab, India. Even that's a big place, right? All right. Harjot, let's do this. So I'll get you to read a paragraph, and then we'll get into some of those yes, no, not given questions, okay? So read the types of chicha for us. You'll see it on the screen here in a second. And read that paragraph, okay?
There are two main types of chicha, though the exact formulation and production of chicha is likely to vary from town to town. The two main types are chicha morada and chicha de jora. Chicha morada is a non-fermented and non-alcoholic drink made from purple corn, which gives its a characteristic purple color. It is high in antioxidants, helps to prevent certain cancers, and lowers blood pressure and cholesterol. It has also shown regenerative properties such as the formation of collagen and the creation of connective tissues. It often contains cinnamon and cloves and is is the similar to mulled cedar. Chicha de jora is the fermented and therefore alcoholic version of the drink. It is created by a process similar to that of beer. Unlike chicha morada, chicha de jora is made from yellow corn, though the corn used is quite different from the corn many people are uh, familiar with. It is more fibrous, has much larger kernels, and is much less flavorful. However, this makes it well suited to form the base of such a drink. In addition to corn, the drink often includes either quinoa or, for a sweeter version, strawberries.
Awesome. That's really good reading. That's nice fluency, okay? So again, as I said with Dylan, that reading, Harjot, is perfectly fine. Your speed is perfectly fine to read the passages, okay? So when people say I can't read fast enough, it's usually not the problem. The problem is comprehension. It's not reading speed. So you're definitely reading fast enough to read the passage and answer the questions in a proper way, not by searching for answers. This paragraph, it tells us about two types of chicha, right?
Yes, sir.
Which one is for little kids?
For little kids.
Yeah, which one can we give little kids?
Not fermented, non-alcoholic.
What is that one called?
Chicha morada.
Very good. And which one is the one for adults looking for a good party?
Chicha de jora.
Right. So we're learning, right? That's the goal of it. I mean, IELTS is preparing people for university. And when you're in university, you need to be able to use the information that you're reading. True, false, not given. Both of these chichas use the same type of corn.
No, sir.
Is it false or no? Yeah, false?
Yes.
Okay, good. You can play that game with other IELTS candidates that you're practicing with. You don't have to look at the true, false, not given questions. You can just give each other true, false, not given questions, right? So true, false, not given. Chicha de jora is sometimes flavored with blueberries.
This is false.
Is it though?
Not given.
Aha, right? We know that it's flavored with strawberries, but they don't tell us if there's other flavors. I have a feeling if we go to the Americas, we might find a blueberry flavored one. So that's actually not given, right? Okay,
Yes.
so you have to be very careful with the difference between false and not given, right? It's definitely false that they're the same corn because it very clearly tells us it's different corn, but it doesn't tell us that there can't be other flavors of chicha, right? So we have to be careful. Okay, the way we do yes, no, not given, Harjot, is first we figure out if the information is important. If it's important, it's probably given. If it's not important, then it's just not given. And once we know that it's important for the passage, so it makes sense, then we can figure out if it's true or false. Let's try number 11 together. You should see it on the screen now. Go ahead and read the statement, number 11.
Chicha is available almost anywhere in South America.
Is it important? So is it important to know where chicha is available?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, right? We're talking about a part of culture, a popular drink. I agree with you. So we know that it's given, right, Harjot?
Yes, sir.
Or most likely given. All right, then we can take the next step. Is it true? Do you think that if we go to Argentina, Colombia, Brazil. We'll find some chicha.
Maybe. I think.
You're running out of time. The reading section's almost over. What are you gonna do?
No, sir.
You don't have time to search, skim, and scan. What do you think? If it's given, is it going to be popular? Well, where is Peru located? Is Peru kind of in South America? Is it in South America? Where is it?
Maybe in Western America.
Harjot, I'm going to send you to geography lessons after this, starting with the number of states in India. Okay. That's what I and jokes aside, that's what I meant when it's important to understand some basics of geography, history, and so on. It's South America. Okay. So Peru is a part of South America. It's actually a decent sized country. Some people will say Central America. But it's definitely there. Okay. Peru, certainly, and chicha, I would definitely say yes here. Okay. Now, if you're not sure, right? So, okay, I get it. You're like, well, I'm not a geography buff. I don't know. So you could do a quick search for South America. At least you know that it's given. So at least you know that you're not just searching aimlessly, right? You're like, okay, it's got to be given. It seems important. I can look for South America. It's got the capital S. It's got the capital A. So, I can do a quick scan for that. And you'll find it here. Okay. It is widely considered the drink of Peru and continues to be enjoyed by generations of Peruvians as well as other South and Central Americans. So we know that it's available, right? It makes sense that you can find that, right?
Yes, sir.
So that would be given. And pay attention for those of you taking the paper-based exam. Don't write true, write yes or write Y, but don't write T because you'll get it wrong, okay? So be careful about that, all right, Harjot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so number 12, number 13, I'll let everybody do that at home, okay? So Harjot, do it at home. Use the same kind of logic. Okay, don't search for the answers, but use logic. Harjot, you're doing a great job. Okay, just do some reading. You know what I recommend? I recommend finding some high school textbooks online, free versions. Like if you go online and you search Google for grade 12 geography textbook in America or England, and then I'm sure you'll find some free versions and free copies on the internet. Read the chapter summaries in those books. They usually have like 10-20 chapters, and each one has a one-page chapter summary, so you can kind of get a quick idea of the information that high schoolers learn in the UK or Australia, and that will help you with these questions. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Does that make sense, that suggestion? Like high school textbooks on Google?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Okay. It's good reading. Sir. Okay. All right. Harjot, thanks so much. You have yourself an awesome rest of your night in Punjab.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bye, Harjot.
Bye, sir.
All right. Let's give Harjot a thumbs up. He's fantastic. All right. Everybody, do the rest of the reading. Those missing questions with those strategies that I just showed you. Talk to each other. Use the chat to talk to one another. Okay? Work out the answers. Have fun with it. All right? To get all of the exams, sign up for the Premium IELTS package at aehelp.com. Okay? So click the big red button, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access. It doesn't cost much money. It's actually quite cheap. So go there and join the premium package. Once you've joined, go to your My Student account. And once you're in your My Student account, you can go through all of the different reading passages in the computer-based exams, or you can use the PDFs and download the exams, and then watch the videos, the reading section, which is here. Okay, and then answer those questions with the right strategies. Okay, that's the right idea. Skimming and scanning will not get you too far on by itself. Okay. All right, everybody. Remember, for General IELTS, it's the green website with the green background. Click that big red button there. And tomorrow we have a special guest with us. So we've got kind of a special start time as well. It's going to be a longer class so people can get a chance to ask questions. Our guest is a former IELTS examiner. He marked speaking and writing for the IELTS for 10 years and coordinated a British Council IELTS classes for 5 years. So he'll be a great source of information, everybody. So that's tomorrow at this time. Definitely be here with me. Okay, Universal Time, 14 o'clock. And then we'll get into it. That's it for me for right now. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to post the Task 1 essay from the previous class in the community and our YouTube community. So subscribe to the channel so you get these notifications. And thank you for my volunteers, and thank you for the moderators and everybody watching. You're fantastic. You're beautiful people. Keep that in mind. Much love to all of you, wherever you are. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, BC, Canada. See you tomorrow. Bye.